இது கோம் ஓம்போ டெம்பிளுங்க. மீனிங் வந்து ஹீப்ஸ் ஆஃப் கோல்டா. ஈவினிங் வந்திருக்கும் இந்த டெம்பிளுக்கு.
All doctors give me attention here. Okay. Not in the first part, not in the first half of the lecture, but the second half of the lecture. First half of the lecture, let's talk about the village, about the temple in general, and then we walk together as usual to inside the temple to show you some of the highlights before you go for a free walking tour. The ticket you have is giving you 2 visits here. The visit of the temple itself, all of its corners, and then at the end of your free walk here, this direction will be your way out. It's a ramp down. At the end of the ramp down, to the right side, there is a little museum called the Crocodiles Museum. There are some mummified crocodiles over there, and now we will learn why crocodiles are very important here and why ancient Egyptians here used to mummify crocodiles. First of all, this village is called Kom Ombo. It's only currently around 150,000 Egyptians living in this village. The majority of the people counts in 3 jobs for income: agriculture. Second job, people are working here in this sugar factory over there. You see that tower, the smoke tower of it. This is a very big sugar factory, dates back to 210 years ago. And as well, a lot of people from Kom Ombo, they count on this temple and the touristic shops, coffee shops, souvenirs, as a way of income as well. The name of the village is a combination between, finally we know the meaning of one of the names of the cities or villages in Egypt. Kom Ombo is a combination of 2 words of 2 different languages. Kom is an Arabic word, means pile. That's why there are many areas all over the Middle East. It starts the name with Kom. Kom and then something else, pile of this. So first word Kom means pile. Second word Ombo, which means gold, but in ancient Egyptian language. So the meaning of the village is the pile of gold. Why we call it this? Because till only 100 years ago, it was very common to find gold in the ground in this village. The reason of this, that the biggest mine of gold in Egypt, the biggest source of gold for Egyptians since 3,000 years BC until today, is a mountain called El Sukkari Mountain, located 60 kilometers to the east of here. The biggest source of income, and imagine, source of gold, and imagine we are using it since 5,000 years ago. But 15 years ago, our nice ex-government and our beloved ex-president signed a contract, an exclusive contract with an Australian mining company called Centamin Limited for 30 years. They do the mining and they take 60% of the production and we take 40% of the production. So currently it's under a management of an Australian company called Centamin Limited. Clear so far? When
Why
it comes,
sukri?
huh?
Why sukri?
Because it's corrupted.
So sukri actually the meaning is sugar, right?
Sukkar.
Right.
Sukkar means sugar. Sukkar means sugar. Bear in mind something. In Egypt, we speak Egyptian, and we thought till only 25 years ago that the majority of what we say in Egypt is Arabic. But 25 years ago, we had a research in Cairo University to study and to analyze every single slang word the Egyptians are saying. And then we were shocked with the result. Only 39% of the words we say are Arabic words. Then you can find in any Arabic dictionary, and any Arab man can find the meaning of it. But 71% of what we are saying, 61, is not Arabic at all. Imagine, it's mix of 21 languages, including many dead languages. 15,000 ancient Egyptian words is still in use among our slang language until today. And the people who didn't study ancient Egyptian language, when you ask them about these words, they will think that these are Arabic words by mistake. Because we became Arabs, so people believe that everything we say is Arabic, but it's not Arabic at all. More than 60% of what we say is not Arabic. Mixed between ancient Egyptian language, ancient Greek, ancient Roman, Latin, Turkish, French, German, Italian, Spanish, Persian, Swahili, Urdu. We have some words from Urdu, we have some words from Hindi, a mix of 21 languages, our slang language. So not necessarily every word you hear in Egypt, you hear it in the rest of the Middle East. And you will hear in the Middle East some words you'll never hear in Egypt. And although what we say is not pure Arabic, but 100% of the Arabs can understand Egyptians. Because Bollywood, Egypt would. Arabs are considering Egypt the Hollywood of the East because we are the biggest media producer. If any of you lived in any Arabic country, you'll notice that the television, 99% is Egyptian. Egyptian series, movies, songs, TV shows. So every single Arab can understand us. And they even can speak like Egyptians, even if we cannot understand all Arabs. For us, it's really hard to understand Kuwaiti, to understand Qatari, Omani, Moroccan, Tunisian, Algerian. These are really hard for us to understand. The easiest for us to understand are Sudanese, Lebanese, Palestinians, Syrians, Jordanians, Iraqi, Libyans. These are very similar accents to us. Okay? So it's here sukkar. I don't know how they call it in the other Arabic countries, but it's here we call it sukkar. So, the temple we are in front is a very unique temple. Only 2 temples in Egypt discovered like this. This temple is a temple not just dedicated for one god, like all other temples, but it's a temple dedicated to 2 separate gods. Only 2 temples in Egypt, we discovered them dedicated to 2 separate gods. First god is Horus, the falcon god, the main god of the south part of Egypt. Second god was god Sobek, the crocodile god, who was the main god of this region. But why the people of this area choose the crocodile to be as important as Horus? Because it was playing a very great and important role in the agriculture of all over Egypt. Egyptians noticed after studying the river that the biggest curve, when you look at the map, the Nile River in Egypt, the biggest big curve or big turn in the river happens before Kom Ombo. So before the flooding season, we built a dam 1960 to stop the flooding. Before 1960, the river was flooding every year, June, July, and August. Before the flooding, the highest level of water happens in a river is by Kom Ombo because it's the biggest curve and as well because it's higher ground level than the river. And then during the flooding season, always water comes so fast, current, but then when it comes to Kom Ombo, when it arrives to Kom Ombo, water slows down, so the level of the water gets the highest level. So the people of Kom Ombo were using this information to share it with the people all over Egypt. But later on, the people of Kom Ombo noticed that the crocodile is giving them a sign about the expected height of the upcoming season, upcoming flooding, 2 months before the flooding. So you don't need even to wait for the flooding season to know the highest level for the water. But how crocodiles could do this? People here notice that crocodiles always, 2 months before the flooding season, they put their eggs on one line, and this line is away from the shore, enough space or enough distance that the water of the flooding never reach. It's like a sign that this is the maximum point the water of the flooding will reach. So they can expect the flooding season 2 months before. Then they start to collect this information, valuable information, to share with all other Egyptians working in agriculture all over Egypt. In other words, the agricultural calendar of ancient Egyptians was based on the research the people of Kom Ombo have to do every year 2 months before the flooding. And that's why when the people here decided to build the temple, they decided to dedicate the temple to Horus, the main god of the area, in addition to Sobek, the crocodile god of this place. And that's why they wanted to build the temple typical 2 halves. Did you see the central column? There is a crack in the central column, a crack in the middle of it. This crack is an indication that this is the central point of the temple. Everything to the right hand side is typical to the left hand side. Typical plan, typical design, typical size, even typical scenes, typical texts. The only difference that all scenes to the right hand side is happening in front of a man with a crocodile head, while all scenes to the left hand side are repeated, mirror scenes, but in front of Horus, a man with a falcon head. This is the only difference. And it's the only temple in Egypt ends with 2 sanctuaries. All other temples are just one sanctuary. Here we're having two equal typical sanctuaries. The one to the right is for Sobek, the one to the left is for Horus. Clear so far? Now we're gonna walk together through the temple to show you some of the highlights and then to start the second half of the lecture, which is for the
coloring கொஞ்சம்
Look there. This is the crocodile.
I know it by heart. I'll be in the back here. Okay. So, what you see here, guys, is a coronation scene. A coronation scene for the king Ptolemy VIII, Ptolemy number 8. His name is mentioned here and mentioned above several times, while he is surrounded by two goddesses who are coronating him with the crown of Upper and Lower Egypt. The different thing in this scene that you'll always see, the coronation scene or any scene for the king with a closed fist, sign of stress, sign of pressure, sign that he is a serious man, not joking, not chilling. But here is different. The king is with open fist. He's really chill.
Little louder.
Louder. And as well, in addition to that, the very good relation between the king and the two goddesses is very clear when you see the hands of the goddess on the shoulder of the king, and as well when you see the smile on the face of the king and the smile on the face of the two goddesses. This is another temple built during the Greek period or under the Greek rule. So they started in this temple to introduce for us some new features of art. We never had it in ancient Egypt. First feature of art, the anklet and the bracelets ladies are wearing in the arm. The Greeks introduced for us. Second thing, short dress exposing the upper part of the chest. Egyptians were always wearing a long garment covering from shoulder level. Might be transparent, but covering from shoulder level. Greeks introduced for us this style of art. Low dress, leaving the chest and above exposed. In addition to that, they introduced for us more than one layer in art. Look at the dress of the king. He is wearing a long dress and then a shorter dress, and it's very clear that the longer dress is transparent, showing what's below. Although it is a master scene made in perfection, you feel that feelings is coming out of the scene. You feel that the figures of the scene want to talk, to tell stories, but it has a mistake. Who is the clever person here who will find a mistake? A very silly mistake, very clear to every person. This question should be answered from this half, because you are so close to the mistake. Someone find me the mistake. I think you found it. Say again.
Thumb and
Both the thumbs are
Thumbs.
thumb same side.
Did you say thumbs as well? The answer is here. Look at the thumb. This is a mistaken. We don't know, to be honest, if it's by intention, which is not logic at all, to be by intention, or it's by mistake, which is not logic as well. But it is a very clear mistake, and until today we don't know why. Behind us, before we leave this court, look behind. Behind, guys, you'll find the wall with two different colors. The lower wall, the lower part is darker, the upper part is lighter in color. The lower part is not demolished. Figures of the gods and kings are well preserved, but the upper part is demolished. You remember, I told you it's a volunteering job. When these guys came here to demolish this wall, the lower part of the wall was buried in mud and soil, because it's very close to the Nile River. By the way, this temple 250 years upon the discovery was all buried in mud. You see the columns, a different color. These are halfly buried. Some other columns were all buried. Some parts of the temple was all buried in mud and soil. Then 1917, an Italian visitor cut 3 blocks from the temple and he took it and left.
Okay.
This part and another part from outside, if you noticed, from the facade to the left side, Horus head, the man with the falcon head, the head is cut. The rock of the head was cut and taken. Again, remember, till 1972, it was a legal business. So if you came 1971 to this temple, you would hire some Egyptians, excusing the archaeologist here, to cut you this part, you pay the price, and you go. And you will be able to travel from Cairo airport. No one will stop you, because it was legal business. There were stores and shops in the streets to sell real monuments. Not 100 years ago, but only 50 years ago. So don't wonder about how this rock was lost, or how it was taken, or how this column was cut and taken, or how this wall was dismantled to be taken somewhere. It was a legal business till very soon, only 50 years ago. Yalla, let's walk back this way and then to the right.
അങ്ങനെ ഫാൽക്കൺ ഫേസ്.
The temple, there is no chapels and no rooms at all. This is the only temple we discovered behind the sanctuary, 8 rooms with very strange and unexplained hieroglyphic inscriptions. It took us more than 100 years to understand the hieroglyphics. If we understand the hieroglyphics, if the French understood the hieroglyphics by maximum in 1860, 1865, they got like 80% of the meanings of the ancient Egyptian words. These 8 rooms remained unexplained till 1987, more than 100 years. And after explaining and understanding the hieroglyphic texts inside, we discovered that this is a very detailed medical archive from ancient Egypt. And these 8 rooms were used as an intensive care units for 600 years during the Roman period. Romans who shut all Egyptian temples, they left this temple open. Romans who forced Egyptians to forget the ancient Egyptian mythology, and they forced Egyptians to follow the Roman mythology, they chose Imhotep to become a god in the Roman mythology, and they didn't mind to show themselves in all Roman temples, a Roman emperor kneeling on the ground in front of Imhotep, sitting on a throne as a king or as a god, and the Roman emperor worshipping him. And so they didn't respect the Egyptian mythology at all, but they were in a very bad situation from this guy. They discovered history of a great scientist, so they didn't mind to choose him to become a god. And after translating the hieroglyphics inside here, we noticed that these were in use for the richest Egyptians who can afford making it all the way to Kom Ombo to reserve one of these 8 rooms to receive the best medical care of ancient Egypt at this time. This temple, guys, is the most complicated and detailed medical archive from ancient Egypt. The Temple of Kom Ombo. And not just this. Behind these 8 rooms, there is a wall. That's why all of these tourists are lining up. They want to see this. Behind these 8 rooms, there is a wall showing Imhotep sitting on a throne. In front of him, Trajan, a Roman emperor called Trajan, kneeling on the ground to worship Imhotep. But forget this. In front of Imhotep, there is a table with heaps of surgical tools. Believe it or not, same exact surgical tools we are using until today. Was invented and introduced for Egyptians 5,000 years ago by the same scientist, Imhotep. This scene is in the wall behind, showing Imhotep, while all surgical tools that we are using until today. Let me show you the Google picture, because I always prefer, instead of lining up as a group to waste like 20 minutes to reach the scene, I prefer that you go scattered during your free walking tour. You don't need, if you are scattered, 2 or 4 together, you don't need to line up in the queue of the groups. You just walk in between the groups to see the scene, and then you go. So it's better to visit when you are scattered in the free walk. But I will show you here a picture of the surgical tools.
Any reasons why the heart was left
And equivalent to the vulture in the Nile would be the Egyptian god.
We seen a lady here, she's a liver baby. And we seen a lady, she's the same one, she's nursing the same baby.
Okay.
One of the scene they're talking about the liver of the king. It's the holy gift.
Detail of some of the calligraphies. This is the crocodile face, and this is the falcon face. Here are mummified crocodiles. Mummified crocodile பாருங்க இது பின்னாடி. Sobek, crocodile head god of ancient Egypt. அங்கே ரெண்டு இது பண்ணியிருக்காங்க. ஒன்று ஃபால்கன் வச்சு அது ஹாரஸ் சொல்கிறது, இது சோபெக். முட்டை license.